Welcome back to CR-4P YouTube channel. In today's video we're having a look over the latest build that I'm doing. It is an Emotator 1105 rotator and controller, which is an upgraded CR4 controller. I'll be going more through this later on. This one has been upgraded and everything. So with this, I just want to go through everything with you. Put that back there. So casings, mast clamp and the lower housings have all been glass bead blasted and edge primed and painted in this pewter, grey pewter colour. So got a frog in my throat. And the mast clamps have been replaced with my new version stainless steel ones. With they're a 10mm U-bolt for these. So this is a new clamp that which is available on my website. So, getting to the main motor and gearbox assembly. This, I've just done a dry assembly to make sure everything is in its rightful position and is working properly. There's been quite a few upgrades to this thing, so I'm going to take you for a bit of a quick turnaround on this. If you don't know, 1105 rotators have twin drive final drive gears, and they are solid gears, not stamped out gears, so they're solid. And the gear that drives that is solid. We'll go more about that when we're getting into the disassembly, because I'm going to disassemble it to then reassemble it with all the grease. This has been dry assembled only, so you can see the gears in there. So this just shows you what it all looks like inside. AC motor, 24 volt, motor start capacitor. So I'm going to just strip this down, explain the mods and upgrades that I've done to this on the way. So we shall start with our limit switch plate. This limit switch plate has been re-zinc plated, and I've put brand new limit switches on it, micro switches, limit switches. And you might notice there's some dimples here. They are to hold the two shafts in place because they can ride up. They're a bit tight at the present moment. There we go. They can ride up a bit. So I've physically put these dimples in there to hold that. Just little mods and upgrades I do to these things. Oops, stand up, stand up, stand up. So there's our limit switch plate. The next thing we've got coming up now is this is a major upgrade for this. I'm using a 5-turn potentiometer, 500 ohms, because the CR-4P controller is 500 ohms. So basically it is a multi-turn pot, not exactly cheap. I have made up a stainless steel plate and one of my brand spanking new direct drive gears, which direct drives off the gears that drive the gear that drives these two final drive gears. So this just eliminates a whole lot of other stuff out of the drivetrain, and I'll show you that back. I should have brought this over earlier. This is one of their versions of multi-drive potentiometer setups. With this one's got 3 gears. The other ones have some 2 gears and there's different ratios and whatnot, but it's a steel arrangement, and you get a bit of backlash in these sometimes. I don't use this anymore because I'm using this multi-turn only if I'm doing a 600 ohm version, because these are 600 ohm pot, but this assembly calls for a 500 ohm pot. So my new gear, all the teeth have been I'll start again. The teeth are chamfered off in the designing of it, and basically it's so it fits in without hitting the sides of these 2 gears. So I've designed it that way. I've had to open up the top of the sub chassis ever so slightly to get this in and out. So basically this gear has been laser sintered 3D printed, not melted plastic printed. This is a powder which has been sintered with a laser, which is then formed up that way. This has a higher temperature rating. It's like the surgical material stuff that they use in this 3D printing place that I use. So that's the potentiometer. So we'll have a look at the we'll take the top shafts out so they don't fall out. So these are 12mm shafts, solid gears as you can see, not loose stacked gears, solid gears. And they've got a little circlip on the top which stops them from falling straight through. Right out of there, there's your second one. Has a little shoulder on the bottom. I have to do a bit of polishing up on that. So we're going to turn him, while I'm up here, I have put these 4 screw holes here were normally self-tappers. I've actually re-tapped them to M3, but I've also put recoil inserts in M3 recoil inserts into those. So that's one thing I've done with this. So when we get to the bottom, we have the motor start capacitor, which I've just put the wires in there for now. Which again, this is something else that I've done as well. Just a little mods and upgrades I do to these. The holes that go into this plate have been recoiled inserted as well as I have got oops, there's my motor start capacitor, and the tines at the top are just a bit shorter. And I've also got my little terminal block here, or terminal pad, what you want to call it. That's just for the neutral wire. Then this is an AC rotator. Just knocked the camera, my bad, sorry about that. So basically we're going to get the motor off and out of the road. The motor has had a few upgrades done to it. It's now running a stainless steel plate for mounting, because this whole thing has been completely rebuilt and upgraded, as I always do. So I just undo these. These are the 4 screws. The plate, this motor plate is I'd had designed for my 1200s and 1280s DC motors, but I've adapted it to fit to this AC motor. Had to do a bit of finagling of the motor chassis, or the motor housing I should say, not the chassis, the housing. And I had to whoops, get that out of there. Lost me washer. Get out of there. Doesn't want to come out. Get out of there. It went somewhere. Don't know where it went. Oh, there it is. Okay. So this is the actual AC motor. So this is a RH6S4. So the new stainless steel plate houses the BK brake system. I would normally be pulling this apart, but I'm going to leave that for the present moment because I've got to get through this video. So elongated holes for adjustment, and it's actually screwed to the original top plate. And basically I had to shave down the top plate a bit to physically, you know, see there's a bit of a slight gap there to get this to fit on. I had to do a bit of moulding, grinding out here to get the screws into the right place. So it's all happy now at the present moment. Okie dokie, so let's move on. A sniffly nose again. Did I bring the right Allen key? Yes, I did. So the actual chassis for this particular rotator is the same that I use in my 1280s DC ones. And I've been using stainless steel bolts in these, the socket head cap screws. These are longer shafts on these ones because this chassis is deeper, but I also re-tapped and made the thread go a lot further into the actual the chassis, the top chassis I should say. This is actually the lower chassis. So basically I'll pull this out and then I'll go through what I've done to this, what happens to this particular chassis section. Okay, we'll pull them apart. Get that out of there. Oh yeah, there's our top, flaring out. That steel plate has been re-zinc plated and remounted back in. It has 4 bolts. Stop flaring it out. So that's all good. So that's sitting in there. We might put this on this side. Okay, here's our gear assembly and chassis. This chassis I said was designed for my 1200 and 1280s. Has the provision for a 3rd shaft, So this particular rotator didn't need that, so I've got all the gears spaced up, and basically, as you can see, final drive gear is solid. It's a manufactured gear which is welded together. So I'll put them over there out of the way. The gear that drives that gear is a solid gear welded together, not stamped in and whatnot. So this is just how Emotator did these. The next gear, which normally I've got to get, I didn't bring my safety pliers. Here I forgot something. I always forget something now. What I've done here to keep the weight of these two heavy gears off the fast moving gears, I've put circlips on here, and they go into a groove, and they just keep all the weight of those heavy gears off the top. So we get these out for now. Go over here so you can see what I'm doing. So we get the Allen key into here, get them out without scratching the shaft, and basically we can go through there. Okay, as we take the gear off, now this gear here, normally in 1105 is a single stack gear. This is the first of the stamped out style gears, so normally they have a single stack on this particular gear, but I've put a double stack back in here from a 1200. Just increases the wind rating a little bit. So yeah, the next gear back is the stamped out one. These have all been polished up and cleaned and everything on the internals. And then we have on this one, as you can see there, we have the grooves for the gears. We have a spacer in here, and then we have the first drive gear, and then I've actually these shafts are affixed to the chassis, the lower chassis. I've then glued in the bottom bushes and washers so that they're always in the same position, so when one pulls it apart you don't lose them. So as you can see, we have pressed in threads for the motor mounts, and on the other side it's bolted together as well on this side. Oops, stop flaring out. You can see the punch marks in here. This was just to flare the base out of this to keep those shafts in position. They were actually pressed in, and they don't really move. They're not going anywhere. So there's that. It's all happening. Double thickness, it's 10mm thick, so we had two 5mm aluminium sheets which was then laser cut, and then they were pressed together using these two locators, and then I drilled and tapped these ones in here for the final, keep it 100% together. So there we go, there's that. So this is what I normally use on my 1200s, as I said, on my 1280s. I'll be doing a new version. We cut too much away from this. I was trying to lose weight, but didn't know why I did that or whatever. So okay, so in the housing department we have my new cover plate for the LTW socket. This is going to be wired on and pushed from the inside out. So we have little locators on the sides there, one there and one there. They locate up to, probably can't see in here, there's some little there's screws and whatnot what's in here, and locators to hold this in place. So you drop this in here from the inside, locates straight through, what goes on from the outside, which I'm going to grind the tips of these off. Yeah, just got to grind the tips of those, I haven't done that yet. So that's what'll be happening there. Rightio, one thing I forgot to do. Now this is the LTW plug. It's a snap fit plug, so when you put it together you locate your top groove, slide it together, locate, and that's it, locks. Oh, that's it, one click and then click, and that's it. So snap lock. And they have glands, O-ring here, there's a gland in there which seals that, and there's your screw, your solder points for your wires. And in the back of these plugs we have another gland in the back. Rightio, so that's the plug out of the road. Getting on to the controller, CR4 controller. This is weighs a ton. I've actually replaced, whoops, move the lens. I've actually replaced the lens with one from, to display a lens. I can pop this off as well, just so you can see it a bit better. Got a bit of dust blowing around here. So, we've replaced the lens with one from a G450 controller. I've got a few of these new, and just makes these just much nicer. I've also put LEDs into the end of the needle, little tower LEDs, a red and a blue one. Blue for the normal display, and when it hits the limit at south, the red will come on. And that's all controlled by my new PCB YLED DC plus limit. It has all the little, you can actually take the whole board out. So this is my second prototype version, so this is all working now and up and running. So we have LEDs in the display there. These are just white LEDs, and then we have these wires here, what goes down into the needle, 3 wires, I say, not 4 wires, 3 wires, which then drives the 2 LEDs. The transistors in here basically switch the blue off and turn the red on, so we don't have any mix of colours. The whole back panel has been cleaned, stripped back, roughly roughed up with a very light paper, and was repainted in a gloss. I ran out of satin, so I had to use gloss. I've then relabelled the whole thing. I've installed the earth bolt, IC socket, and new labels, and I put in a 7-pin terminal block here, and everything's looked down in there. So this is all working and up and running. As you can see, the thing from the back there. Oh, I didn't got the other light on, that's why we can't see it. That one there should be on as well. So, there we go, might be able to see things now. More light better. Now, also, up in this top corner here, we have a output voltage select, which is a little tricky thing that I've just done recently. I only take the little cover off. So this normally houses the input voltage select. Well, it has, I can select that here if I really needed to, but we're only here in Australia, we don't need to have any other selections. So basically in here what I've done is I've got the 28, 31 and 37 volts for the neutral that they use. As you can see down in here, it runs from there to there, and the wires come from the transformer, so I can actually select the actual output voltage depending on what cable you're running and what length of cable you want. So basically, yeah, so what you have, I've already done on the back there, I've made this little graph for the cable run versus size of wire versus what voltage you pick. I've actually selected it at 31 volts at the present moment. So in all intents and purposes we use a 0.64 millimetre square wire from 21 to 35 metres, all the way through to a 0.84 millimetre squared for 71 to 110 metres. So just using that tapping, and then you've got other tappings on there as well. So there we go. So that's up to date with this. Before I lose that screw, I'm going to put that back on again. Well, I should actually say this. So you just can't take it off hilly-nilly. It has a little lock nut on the inside of here. So you've got to take that off first, as it says on the top of this here. It says remove lock nut first. Just in case you forget to do that. So that's a little upgrade I've done to this. A lot of upgrades I've been doing to this, and I can't get my fingers working. Put that back in there so I don't lose it. So you only need to take it off once when you're setting the whole thing up, and you're done. Righty-o, there we go. I'm going to start the rebuild of the rotator, and we shall be getting back to you. Catch up. I'm back again for a second. I also forgot to mention that all the gears have an extra taper in the gear, like a recess, for grease to sit have a lot more grease sitting in there. So you can see the taper in that one there, and as you can see the taper there. Normally they're only a very small taper. That just retains a lot more grease between the two, other way around, between the two gears. So I guarantee you're going to have some grease between the gears. You can see there's a recess there, recess in the bottom. I just countersink these out more with a reaming tool to give it a bit more longevity. So there's that. And one other thing I forgot to mention, as well as the recoil inserts on there, I put recoil inserts, whoops, upside down, in here as well for the motor capacitor. They're only 3mm, so they tend to strip out quite easily. Right, I'm going to get back to doing the assembly. Hey, we're up to the reassembly stage. The BK brake has been greased and everything else has been greased and reassembled. The circlips have been in place, the spacers have been put in place. This is now ready to be assembled into the housing. I'll be getting up to that next and all bolted up. So we shall be back soon. So, moving on. We now have motor assembly into the top housing. I've got the limit switch bracket on. I've actually got the limit switches set up. Got the final gears in and their shafts. Everything is greased up in here. Probably can't see because it's lithium disulfide. Right, go that way maybe. There we go, go that way. We have the motor start capacitor on. We have the little bracket on for the neutral. I'm going to hang it upside down, might be even easier. So there we go, so we're up to that stage. I will be wiring, and I'm going to do some testing on the potentiometer and whatnot. So, and this is all balancing badly, so I need to just lay him down for now. I don't want to stand up now for some reason. Right now, we shall moving forward. We are moving forward, I should say. Right. Okay, we're basically nearly done. I have done all the wiring. There we go. Everything is done. The plug is wired. I've used every single different colour wire I can get a hold of, so having same colour wires and causing problems. So now that's been done. I'll even put a guard protector. You probably can't see it. I'll put a bit of sleeve, plastic sleeve over this to stop grease and stuff getting onto the wiring. So what we're going to do now, well, I can grab this thing. We grab the plug, socket I should say, slide it through the hole, get it in the right position, get the wires on the road, drop it down, done. Put the nut on, that's what I'm doing, yes, that's what I'm doing. Working around a camera is a pain. Just loosely do this up for now. I've already ground the very corners off to get past the screws. So there we go, we're actually in. Rightio, I'm going to drop these bolts in here too as well. And I shall go and do these up. Do some alignments. Where's that bolt hole? Do some alignments, check everything that's working okay, aligned okay, and we shall be back. Okay, we're done. I have finally finished everything. Okay, I'll just show you the rotator all labelled up. It's all together. I've labelled it. I'll be labelling on the bottom, labelling on the back. So that's all done. And I'm going to show it all going, so I'm just going to sit it over there for now. Get these bolts and stuff out of the road and the plug. That's the plug that goes with it. I think I told you about that anyway, but we'll just move these things out of the road. Move the mask link out of the road. The right out of the road. What I've done is I've got the controller sitting here. Put the lid and everything on it. I've actually put my little test lead on the back of it. And this is just a little quick connect that I've got here I have playing around with. So we'll plug in the IEC socket, give it some power. Got my little braking Tesla. I have like one I can just adapt to anything, so basically that's what I've done here. So plug it into here. Plug him in. Come around and plug the other end into this one. Whoops, cord a bit too short. Okay, let's see. Oh, maybe I didn't set this up very well, did I? Okay, there we go. Right, so there's so much light here. I was hoping to try and show you the LEDs and the display working. You may be able to see them. So we shall see how we go. It's all looking good. So let's turn him on. We're going to manual mode first. You may or may not have seen what I do is I bring the controller closer. You'll see the blue light in the end of the needle. Right there. If I turn him off again, you'll see that will disappear. There it goes. You can just see the display illuminating as well. There we go. It's on. So, righty-o, so we'll just take a bit of a quick run. So in manual mode, I like these controllers because you can do manual mode as in just momentary, like this. Just push the button down. Or you can then go push harder down and it becomes locked, so hands free. And then if you want to turn it off, you just do that. So we'll go around until we see the limit light come on. We'll lock him in. This rotator has about a 75 second rotation time. This with the AC, so coming around soon to the limits light. And while the thing is on, you'll see the limit light come on. So you probably can't see it there, but now you should be able to see it. Hopefully there's not too much lighting. Maybe I'll just cover it over. There's a little limit light now on. So while the direction switch is on, it is illuminated, and then when it goes off, it switches back to the display. So we'll go back the other way, and so you can just do momentary if you want. And if we wanted to do a preset, we just flick the needle from the switch from manual to preset. It'll go, since the preset is set to 0 degrees or 360, whichever way you want to look at it. We will be going back to there. And being that these controllers have got the world transformer in them, they're a really beefy transformer. You can use them for so many different things. Well, I should say I can adapt them to so many different things, I should say. So there we go. So we'll stop at north. Slightly early. Oh yeah, we are slightly early because I had dialed to there. There we go. So we can now dial up, say 90 degrees. And as you can probably see, the actual little LED glowing there in the end of the needle. And the display, that LED and the display illumination is adjusted from inside the casing here. You actually make it brighter or duller. So there we are on east, and I was pretty well smack bang on. We'll go back to manual mode, and we'll just drive around in manual mode. And we'll stop them again. Oh, and we'll just lock it down. Save our finger. There we go. We'll come around to the limit again. It has about 5 degrees, just over 5 degrees rotation time, over south. So there we are again. So the little limit light is actually on again. Then if I turn it off, you'll see it switch back to the blue. So I switch it on again. And just have flick, flick. Just two little baby tower LEDs in there that control that. And we'll go back to the north position again. So flick it back across again. Fairly simple controller to play with. Yeah, I like them. So yeah, that's why I like to adapt them to things. Yeah, so that's it's all good. So we'll let it get back to north, and that's showing it all working. And then I can go and do all the manuals and bits and pieces I've got to do for this, and get it up for sale on my website and BK Classifieds. So that's what will be coming up soon. And you can always go to my website, kur02.com.au. Then we're back to north again. And you can go to my YouTube channel as well, and check that out. Okay, you have a good one. We'll catch you next time. Bye.